so last night when I was watching the coverage of this, and I mentioned this before we started, I was getting a bit frustrated with it, was that they were interviewing a lot of refugees in France who were waiting to try to hope to come to the UK. There was one guy who said he tried 3 times already and the boat had like capsized or been caught or sent back. And I was like, man, this guy is like seriously determined. Like, unless you were really desperate, like you wouldn't still be trying at that point. But so they were talking to some families and they were saying that the UK is better for keeping families together. That that there was 1 or 2 who had mentioned like the English speaking nature of it, like you'd mentioned before. Like, what is the reality here of because I've seen people say, oh, it's about the money. And it's like, well, no, I don't think it's about the money because the UK gives way less than most other European countries, right? So what is So what is this reason that people are using, or why do they choose the UK? Like, is it, as you said before, like the friends and family connections or the English speaking part, or is there like a family policy or something that makes it better for families?
It's definitely not a policy. I mean, in general, families do stay together. I mean, I've been doing research on these things for about 20 years, as I said, and you know, the reasons people give you, they may seem quite bizarre to us, but let's say, for example, you are brought up in a country which is an ex-British colony. You went to school, you were taught English, you did your teaching in English, and you learned about, you know, Shakespeare and football and British novels, and none of these things, you know, drive your, you know, it sounds very trivial. They don't in and of themselves drive your decisions. But one of the things people have is a perception. I don't think it's correct, frankly, but people have a perception that the UK is a very tolerant place, a very good place when it comes to justice and human rights, and that if they're going to get an opportunity to build their lives, it's the UK that they're going to do it in. Partly because we've spent several hundred years trotting around the world telling people that that's what we do, telling people we're really good, you know, we're really just and we're really fair and we're really tolerant. You know, we spent a lot of time trying to convince people of that. Again, I'm not convinced that we are necessarily in the history of colonization.
Great Britain.
Say otherwise. Yeah, Great Britain, exactly. I mean, you come into an airport at the moment in the UK and you've got these signs that say Great Britain underneath it. Just like, if you're not confident about something, just because you say it louder and bigger doesn't make it so. Anyway, so I think this, you know, aside from the things that people know about that are familiar, I think there is a sense that this is a country with traditions and values, and that's where they'll get to rebuild their lives. And that combined with the language, combined with, people can't work, they get crap benefits, and the housing is terrible, and the asylum system takes forever. I mean, I can't see that any of those things will attract people. And let's be honest, governments, Labour and the Tories, for the last 20 years have tried to make it as really difficult as possible. You know, one of the things I think is happening potentially is that smugglers are concealing some of this information. So they're basically saying, no, it's fantastic in the UK. So they're reinforcing people's perceptions that this is the best place to be. They don't care whether it is or not. They just want the money. You know, that's what's motivating them. Their motivation is not that this person gets to have a better life. Their motivation is how much money can I make? So I wouldn't be surprised if people are telling them things that are not true. But I mean, most people, particularly at the moment, particularly given how negative things are in the UK around, you know, lots of different things, COVID and Brexit and food shortages and HGV, it doesn't strike you as being a place that people would necessarily, if they knew everything about it, would choose to come. Plus the weather's crap. And I can tell you now, one of the things so many refugees tell us is that they had no idea how bad the weather was. Because if you come from a place,
no way. Is that real?
It's trivial. Damp and cold, and you don't have a coat, and you can't afford heating. These are not nice situations to be in, you know. The idea that it's a party is not true for any of us, least of all if you're in that situation.
Wow. That's amazing. No one told them about the weather. That's a genuine complaint.
It's a genuine complaint. It's a genuine complaint. Well, not a complaint, just a kind of like realization of what.
No one told us how much it rains. Yeah, no, I could understand that. To be fair, I mean, and the smugglers, I definitely think is an aspect because, like, you imagine if someone is selling boat tours on the coast, they're not going to say, it's not worth it. Don't pay the €20 for the boat tour, especially when, if they're charging £500, £1,000.
Yeah,
You're not gonna
crap and there's terrible views, are you? You're gonna pick it up. It's about to get better. I mean, I was reading something today actually that some of the smugglers are telling people, oh, the channel's not very big. It's like a lake. It's just like a small lake. It'll take you 20 minutes to get to the other side. I mean, people have really no idea. Would you put your kid on one of those dinghies with 20 other people if you thought you were crossing the biggest shipping lane? You wouldn't. No way. None of us would do that. So people are being told things because they're desperate and because they just want to just stop moving. I mean, a lot of the time, people want to stop moving. They just want to get on with rebuilding their lives. People are tired, exhausted. This is not an easy way to spend your life. And as I said at the beginning, lots of people have been moving or moving on for many years. Their kids are getting older, they just want it to be over. And so they're like, okay, fine, we'll roll the dice, the final roll of the dice. And then look what happens, they end up, whatever, just, it's hard to even conceive of that experience. But, 25,000 people have drowned in the waters of Europe since 2014. This is not new. There's been 1,500 people die even the beginning of the year in the Mediterranean. We don't even hear these stories anymore. When we had Lampedusa 6 or 7 years ago, it was big news. It's not news anymore. Aylan Kurdi washed up on a beach. People were very sympathetic for about 3 days, and then they all wanted tougher controls. People's ability to put themselves into that position, to somebody to have to make that decision of, do I sit in this wet, damp tent with no food with my child, or do I put them on a boat and hope we have something better? I don't think people can even conceive of having to make that choice. It's not a choice. No. It's something none of us would ever have to want to do, but that's what people are doing. That's what people are doing. Because the people who have money and have contacts, they come on a plane and claim when they get to the UK. They don't sit on those beaches waiting for a boat.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment for us in the comments below. Let me know what you thought and if you'd like to see more of this from the show. Thank you, and we'll see you again next time.